We are live, Derek. How awesome is this?
That's fantastic. Here we are.
Here we are.
We're 6 seconds in.
Oh my gosh, already time is flying. Okay, we better get to it.
Yeah.
Welcome, everyone, to the 10-minute marketing makeover. Derek, you want to dive in and fill people in on how this whole thing came about?
Yeah. Well, you and I both have long experience in terms of advisor marketing, and we find ourselves getting the same questions from advisors about what's working and what isn't. And so we had an opportunity to reach out to one another, get to know one another a bit more. And we came up with this concept that was going to be advisor driven. So we have an opportunity to share out ideas, insights, experiences that we've had through the lens of content that advisors want to share with us, whether they're trends, whether they're specific posts on, say, LinkedIn or sections on a website. So we have the opportunity here to let advisors, let you drive the show. So I know I'm really excited about it. We've been talking about it for weeks now. So
We have, but we only started talking about it weeks ago. And just to highlight how kind of crazy we are, but this is part of leading by example, which we're going to continue to do throughout. That was the first conversation you and I had ever had.
yeah.
But we felt like we knew each other because we've connected on LinkedIn. And so that's one of the things, that's one of our themes, right? We're going to be talking about how to leverage social media, specifically, LinkedIn, websites, and YouTube, but then actually taking those conversations to real life, right? We haven't met in person yet. We're like, hey, we're getting all these same questions from advisors. Advisors are struggling with marketing. They're, sometimes paying all this money, putting all this effort and getting really frustrated with the results, or they're trying to do too many things. And so we instantly connected, didn't we? About, hey, we're getting the same questions. Let's bring those questions out into the open, because so many advisors, I think, are being kind of frustrated in silence, or maybe ashamed to say, look, I spent all this money or all this time and nothing's working and whatnot. So we want you, the advisors that are watching, to be driving this conversation. What are you trying that isn't working? What do you think you put all this effort into? And you're like, but why didn't that work? That's why this is the 10-minute marketing makeover. And we also know you're busy, you're advisors, you have 101 things going on. We want to keep this short and sweet, super actionable, valuable. So Derek, just like you mentioned, our DMs are open.
Totally. Yeah. Get in touch. And this is one of the most wonderful things about the work that we do is it overlaps in so many unique and interesting ways with the work that advisors do. And some of the very hurdles that their prospective clients have are the same hurdles they have when it comes to their marketing. And so instead of being that person who looks around the room and thinks, well, everybody else seems to have this figured out, everybody else has the answer already, raise your hand. And this is going to be a space in which you can safely do that. And if anything, if anyone is going to get embarrassed, let us, the two of us, be those people for you. Don't not raise your hand if you have a question. If something isn't working, if you're curious, if you happen to catch a post from an influencer on LinkedIn, for instance, and you're wondering where that information comes from, or you've done what they've suggested and it hasn't worked, again, reach out to us, give us those examples so that we can provide that specific feedback and not just talk in the abstract about marketing concepts and ways in which those current trends actually prove out or don't going forward for you. The more information we have from you, the more help we can be. And that's where I think this is going to get really exciting, is we're going to take a look at real world examples based on the things that are of most pressing concern to you in the work you're doing as an advisor, reaching out into the world through your marketing.
Yeah, you hit on two really important things there. First, kind of the tie into how clients are. And then second, I'm just saying this so I don't forget, because we are live and we can't go back and edit it. If you want us to review something and you want to stay anonymous, perfectly fine. I just want to throw that out there. So you'll see our LinkedIn accounts there. Again, connect with both of us. If you're not following us yet, DM us. But if you're like, hey, I really want feedback on this, but you don't want anyone to know who it is, just let us know. We'll blur out names. We'll make it so that people, can't see. Because again, we're not here to embarrass anyone. But then exactly what you said about like, this is how clients feel, right? And that was another thing we really connected on, is really how we work with advisors is exactly how advisors work with clients. And there are so many clients out there that either really don't understand, who great financial advisors are and what you do, or they've maybe had a bad experience. And so they're like hesitant. They don't, they're like, I put in all this time and effort and it didn't work. I don't want to work with an advisor again. We see that is how a lot of advisors approach marketing. They're like, oh, I tried and it didn't work and I'm not going to do it again. And this is all bad. So we're going to be drawing a lot of those parallels because it's examples that kind of take us outside the industry as well, and outside our little bubbles that can sometimes really open up our minds to think about things a little bit differently.
Yeah, and it gives us the opportunity again to have these conversations. This is so important. And you've mentioned this before. I mean, all of this emerged out of a conversation we had,
Yeah.
connecting, reaching out. We're all better when situations like this arise, when people have the ability, the willingness, again, are unembarrassed or unashamed to reach out with what seem like obvious questions. And the more that you're showing up for your prospective clients in that way, that relatability, that personability, that empathy, leading by listening, doing all of those things over time. And this is a huge, huge, even though we've got 10 minutes, this is a huge point that we'll come back to over and again. Marketing is a long game. And so you want to build in the patience that you are expecting your own prospective clients to have when you think about, okay, what is my marketing going to look like these next couple of quarters? What's my
Yeah.
marketing going to look like heading into the next fiscal year? What does this long-term strategy look like, so that all of the little things that you're doing now add up to big successes going forward?
I like that. I like that. So, one of the biggest challenges we are going to have is sticking as close as we can to our 10 minutes. So, I want to make sure that we kind of touch on a few different things just so people kind of know themes that you are going to hear from us over and over again. Derek, I know one of them, we are going to be talking about having an ideal client, like knowing who your ideal client is when it comes to marketing. If you don't know who you're talking to, you're kind of talking to no one.
Mhm. Well, very true. I mean, this is interesting and a great segue. I think we're going to experience this quite often too. Next week, I don't want to go too far into it already
Go
because I
for
know
it.
we're going to get there, but you're going to be talking about niching up, which is a fascinating way to be thinking about how to counter niching down,
Yeah,
right? So again, I don't want to leap over where we're at right now,
all
but
good.
they're wonderful, wonderful opportunities for us to rethink the way we do marketing and the way that we interact. And I think this is a great example of that. It's not necessarily reinventing the wheel. It's just making sure it actually rolls really, really smoothly. And there are any number of different ways to do that. And you've said something, Katie, that I think is so important here. And that has to do with not always and necessarily staying within your lane. We hear this all the time, right? Stay within your lane. In terms of reading, in terms of experience, in terms of what it is to be in the world, we know it's not that neat. It doesn't work that way all the time. And frankly, some of the best ideas that you're looking for exist outside of the latest market report, that article that you've been saving from whichever journal that you're subscribed to, the latest newsletter. Look outside and
Yeah.
invite that information into. We're going to have a chance to take a look and put that into practice too.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, being strategic, that's definitely, your area. We're going to talk a lot about that, having clear goals and tracking. And then really we're going to keep coming back to how much is enough. And that's, kind of segues into one thing that we also just really want to make sure we touch on in this first episode, because we want to be really, really transparent with people. And part of that transparency, again, is letting you know, we just kind of came up with this idea and threw it out there. So it's like, hey, just get started, just do things. But we're kind of in a place where, again, we're having these conversations with advisors, and we are not here. We are never going to throw anybody under the bus. That is not at all who we are, right? Everybody's trying, just like with clients, right? Hey, some people make good financial mistakes. Some people think they were doing things the right way and they didn't, right? We don't ever want anybody to feel bad about anything. But when we think about how much is enough, one of the things that we're seeing is some bigger companies right? And advisors have this challenge too, right? You keep marketing, you're like, I need to grow, I need to grow, I need to grow. But we want you to pause and kind of think, but grow for what? Right? What are you really working towards here? Because when you get too big, when marketing companies get too big, when so many companies in so many industries in the world get too big, their service goes down, their quality goes down, their results go down.
Yeah, and it sort of flies in the face of conventional thinking, but growth for growth's sake isn't always a winning strategy. And I think you do want to do the hard work of self-reflection in order to be able to determine what your strategic goals are. How many new clients do you really need in order to sustain and grow your business in a healthy and responsible way? It's not to say that we're shutting the door on perpetual growth. It's just, it gives us an opportunity again to do the hard work. And this is going to be a space, if the two of us and our guest hosts do this well, this is going to be a space where you have the opportunity to join us in doing some of that hard work out loud, surrounded by an incredibly supportive audience who's not only rooting for you, but is rooting for all of the lessons that we're learning together as we go, in order to continue to strengthen, improve, and change this industry for the better going forward. And so it's tough. A lot of the things that we're going to talk about aren't easy. Again, keeping that long-term strategy that you're always talking to your clients about firmly in mind in your own marketing, it ain't easy. But it gives us the opportunity to set some very strong precedents, to take a look at the little things that lead to those big successes, and to walk side by side throughout that process in a space in which what may seem in the moment to be a failure is actually just another step forward towards success. So I'm absolutely thrilled about this. And I can't thank you enough, Katie, for opening this door. I think this is a wonderful opportunity for all of us.
Oh, Derek, this is absolute total collaboration through and through on this whole thing. And I also just, on that want to note, we're not on here because we want to attract all the advisors in the world and grow our businesses huge, right? That's also not what this is about. Again, we are very transparent. And so this is also part of, we're going to be having guest hosts on, right? We work collaboratively with other people, just like, right, financial planners, you're going to work with a lot of different people to bring the best thing to your clients. So we're going to have guest hosts on. So next week, we're going to have Lindsay Berta of Berta Marketing. Derek already teed it up. We're going to be talking about niching up next week. And she's going to bring a couple of examples. What does that mean? What does that look like? Derek, you and I both talk to clients. Every time we're talking about niching down, clients like, no, I don't want to hear it. I'm not doing it. So let's flip that conversation. Lindsay, I feel like coined that term. I had never heard it before. She mentioned it to me this week. Niching up. Let's just flip that script.
Yeah. Yeah. And again, do it with confidence and a greater level of comfort, so that you give yourself the opportunity in a case like that, to really demonstrate what we refer to, and it's a term of convenience. I don't think it's a great one, but you're able to demonstrate your thought leadership, because that always extends outside and beyond your particular niche audience. And that's a great opportunity to take all of the hard work, thought, and effort that's going into speaking directly to your ideal client outward, and let those ripples and eddies take effect, right? And bring more people. And again, just on a sort of more macro level, bring greater awareness to the financial services industry and all of the incredible work that advisors do for clients. The more people, and I think you'll hear us say this over and again, the more people who are financially literate, who have the opportunity to make informed decisions about their present and future, the better we all are. Everyone wins there. And so it's not just a collaboration for us on the 10-minute, our 10 minutes together every Thursday. It's our collaborating together as an industry to bring these beneficial services and this different perspective to a wider and wider audience of people.
I love that. Well, keeping an eye on time. Again, we know you're all busy. You probably have meetings to get to. Just remember, we just want to introduce you all to this show, invite you to send us your content. This show is all about you. It is not meant to be us talking. This is a 10-minute marketing makeover. So send us your LinkedIn post, whether it did really well and you're like, I don't even know why this did well. Or you're like, I thought this was going to do well and it didn't. So anything on LinkedIn, on your website, that you're like, is this working? Is it not? or YouTube. Again, we're not touching every platform in the world. We're staying focused here. So send us those, connect with us on LinkedIn. This is all about you getting that feedback. Please join the conversation. Join us here every week, every Thursday at 10:10 a.m. Pacific time, 1:10 p.m. Eastern time for 10 minutes or 15 minutes and 6 seconds.
All right, everybody. I can't wait to see you again next Thursday. And thank you so much, Katie.
Oh, Derek, fabulous. Thank you.
You got it.